Alright guys, so before we get into this video, I just want to say we're going to run down every possible position the Miami Dolphins could possibly draft, and more videos to come. I do not think the Dolphins should draft any kind of offensive player in this year's draft. The defensive talent in this draft is so unreal, and the pass rushers in this draft are ridiculously talented. And in future videos, we're going to go through all of them and who possibly could land in a Dolphins uniform. But for today, we're going to be talking about the offensive line. I think we got to get out of the least obvious ones out of the way first. And what if the Miami Dolphins went offensive linemen? So before we get into who I think would fit that criteria, I think we should just go through what our situation is right now. So obviously, we have a guard vacancy spot with, we don't know who, at the left guard spot. We don't know who's going to fill that. Obviously, kicking Laramie Tunsil out to the left tackle position. There's obviously deep guards of free agency, which is another reason you shouldn't go in the to the draft for that reason. But I also am on that train where I don't think Jermon Bushrod is in his prime anymore, by far out of his prime. I don't even think he had that good of a season last season. There's always a saying in the NFL, you can always hide a bad guard, or you can always hide one bad offensive lineman, sort of like the Cowboys do with Doug Free or somebody like that. He's not terrible, but he's not also that good. He's not also not that great at some things. It's same thing with Jermon Bushrod. Like, I think he got carried with some of the pulling of Laramie. And Jawan had a really good season last season. He was a little inconsistent in the beginning, Jawan, but he really solidified that right tackle spot towards the end. And then obviously BA, who is trying to play through injuries. But the point is I don't think Jermon Bushrod's there. So when you look at these two guard spots, especially how deep free agency is, and this year's guard classes, it's pretty enticing to just say, well, we do have all these defensive problems, but the draft that's coming up is stacked with defensive talent, between the DBs especially, and obviously defensive linemen and linebackers. There's some pretty good linebackers out there. So when you look at it like that, you could get either two guards of free agency for like a Ronald Leary or Zach Zeitler, or a Chance Warmack, somebody like that who's not going to be. Zeitler's going to be some money, but other than that, we do have two guard spots. So let's go down through every one of them. So let's start with Laramie. Now, Laramie is a very special player. He was obviously played out of position and still won AFC East Rookie of the Year. And mind you, there were some pretty good rookies drafted in the AFC East last season between Darren Lee, Reggie Ragland. I know they didn't get to Shaq Lawson. I know they didn't get to play a lot, but due to injuries, but they got to play. And then obviously the Patriots offensive lineman, rookie offensive line, had a pretty dang good season too. So Laramie earned it. It's not like you just was in a division where rookies weren't all that good. Laramie really earned it, and he was playing out of position, and obviously he's going back to his natural position. And the good thing about Laramie, and when we're talking about Laramie, is Laramie coming out of college, coming out of Ole Miss, one of the cons to Laramie, which there was very few, was his run blocking at the left tackle position. Everybody knew he was he was just a beast at pass blocking. He was the best in the draft, but a lot of people had the question mark: is he all around guy? Can he can you swing him out? Can he block? And he definitely proved that this past season. You don't just win rookie of the year honors, all rookie honors, if you can't run block at the guard position. And he did it. He struggled early on, especially in training camp, and then some games in the season. But man, when he got it going, and when he really got it going, it was something to watch. Especially if you put on tape of that Steelers game. I mean, the Bills get so many games. He put on a show, and that's one of the reasons he won all rookie honors and AFC East rookie of the year. And Laramie is going to be a very special player at left tackle. And back to what my original point is that since he had all those question marks, he got better at the things that he was worse at. He got really good at those things. So he's a better left tackle than when we got him. I think it was actually a blessing in disguise, that development. It was kind of like it was beautiful because we really corrected some of the things that he had question marks off. In his rookie year, he disproved them. Not a lot of rookies do that, and Laramie was able to do that. I mean, that makes him super special, and he's going to be very special for, he's going to be one of the best players on our team for a very long time. And so let's go on to Juwan James. Now, Juwan James is a very controversial Dolphin. There's a lot of controversial Dolphins. He's, been inconsistent throughout his career. He's let up some pretty terrible plays in his career, game-changing plays. But last year, I thought, especially Adam getting onto him a lot, he really, towards the end of the year, and played more consistent. I don't think Juwan is as bad as everybody said he was before. I think he's a very solid starting right tackle in the NFL. Whether he can be a Pro Bowler or not, I think that's a whole different argument. But I think he's a very solid right tackle in the league, and I think he's a very good one. I'm saying he's just very solid, good right tackle. I don't think you need to replace him. I think he does his job well, and I think he's perfectly adequate for the job. And I think one of the things he does well is his athleticism. His athletic ability is unreal. So in the run blocking, he's a very good run blocker. Pass blocking, he could be better at, but in run block, he does a very good job. He's very physical, and he gets out there. You can pull him, you can swing him. Juwan James is very athletic, he's very, very good. He's solid right tackle. He's a solid right tackle is what I mean. Okay, so let's go on to, obviously, Jermon Bushrod. Now, Jermon is, like I said, I think he's out of his prime. We saw that with some plays, even in the Buffalo Bills game, which was one of his better games. Obviously, run blocking as collective unit for offensive line was insane with the 200-yard game, the first one, not the second one. That game, he had some questionable plays in that game. I mean, even in his best games, he's had some bad plays. I really don't think he can deal with the all-pro defensive lineman like a Geno Atkins, somebody like that. We saw that he couldn't do that. And I'm not saying you have to deal with those guys because you're gonna let up sacks to those guys. They're the best at what they do. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he did that against, Kyle. He just did that against, lower competition, people that he shouldn't be just getting wrecked, by. Kyle Williams out of his prime. I mean, there's just certain things, man. You could put on so many game tape. If you guys want to go watch it yourselves, you can, and then you come back to me. But Jermon Bushrod, you could watch the Bills game. Go watch the Steelers game. The Steelers game was one of his better games, even though he whiffed on a couple blocks. I think the Steelers game, I would say, was his best game. And then you go, just look at all the games. He just had bad plays. I think he's old, and he's out of his prime, and I think we should replace him. That's just how I view it. I know that adds another hole that, maybe we can get by. And you're right. You're right about that. Maybe we could get by, but maybe not. Who knows? I just don't think Jermon Bushrod has... Who knows? Maybe I'm overworking. And I understand everybody else's argument about how... first of all, you can cover up a bad guard, which is true. So, and we already have other holes, and I'm not saying this is a number one priority, but if it's a luxury and that we can fix it, I think we should. So, there, Jermon, I think he's ailing out of his prime. Do we need to replace him? Is it do we really need to? No, we don't really need to replace him. Should we replace him? If we can, if we fill the left guard spot and we've helped our defense as much as we possibly could, and all those things, then yeah. If we get a speedy receiver that we need to replace Kenny possibly, then yeah. We need to look into it. I think we need to look into it. I don't think Jermon Bushrod. I just think he's the weakest link on this offensive line. So let's move on to Mike Pouncey. Now Mike Pouncey is obviously one of the best centers in the NFL. One year he was the best. He can play guard. Mike Pouncey just needs to stay healthy. And same thing. I mean, if he could stay healthy, he's an all-pro center, and he's one of the best at what he does. And not many people can say I have somebody who is the best at what he does. And we have a few of those players on our team. So Mike's fine as long as he can stay healthy. Obviously, the hips are a big problem with him, and we'll see what happens with that. There's question marks if he will ever be able. Is his career shortened? It possibly is, but if he could just stay healthy, he's one of the best centers in the NFL. So overviewing this, and I want to say before Jermon Bushrod, before people get on to me, I don't think we should replace. I don't think it's a number one priority to replace him. I'm just saying I think he is out of his prime, and I think he definitely will be the weakest link on this offensive line. Obviously, Jermon, I think he was a first round pick at one point, so I could be wrong about that. I think I am wrong about that, but anyway. let's move on to who I think the Dolphins should take in the draft. Now, this is who I think they should take in the draft. Obviously, like we just explained with all these offensive guard, we have one vacant, and again, this is why I don't think we should take one. The cons to this is, here's the cons to this. The free agency market is really deep in free agency with guards. It really is. It's pretty dang good. And the defensive talent in this draft is too good to pass up. But this is just a hypothetical. What if the Dolphins were to grab a guard, a franchise guard, who is going to be a perennial, probably a Pro Bowler? And I think if we're sitting there at the 22nd pick in the NFL draft, and if we want to take an offensive lineman, I think we should take Forrest Lamp. Now, again, the cons to this is the defense is in the pass rushers is just so hard. It would be so difficult to pass that up for filling that guard spot. But the talent of Forrest Lamp is so good. Obviously, the cons to him is he's got shorter arms, so he's not going to play. Obviously, we don't need to play him right or left. We need to play him inside, which is what NFL scouts say that he should do. Forrest Lamp is a super athletic freak, and a lot of scouts compare him to Zach Martin. Which, if he can turn out to be Zach Martin, then he could, there's some very similar attributes to both of these guys if you watch them. And I think he does remind me of Zach Martin. And if he can be Zach Martin, which I'm pretty sure he will be, then he will be one of the best offensive guards in the NFL. Zach Martin's probably arguably the best in the NFL. And if Forrest Lamp can be Zach Martin with our offensive line, which obviously we know how important offensive lines are in the NFL, then that is a huge plus. So I think if we're there, 22nd pick overall, we obviously have the guard vacancy there. Hopefully that will be filled in free agency. And like I said, I do not think the Dolphins should go this route. But if they did, you look at a Forrest Lamp, and you look at the pros to Forrest Lamp, potential to be a very good guard in the NFL, and a lot of the executives think that. I think this guy is legit. This guy is the real deal. We have a need there. We have health problems. Not only is Forrest Lamp versatile, he can play left tackle, right tackle, guard, center. He can play any position that you want him to. The cons to that, obviously, he's got shorter arms. His reach might be not as good as your prototypical NFL left-right tackle, but the athleticism's there. Everything you want to see. He's got great feet. He's strong. He's great. Like I said, he's really athletic. And he does remind me a lot of Zach Martin. So I think if we're sitting there at the 22nd pick in the NFL draft and we're like, we got to get taken offensive lineman, then I think that is who we should take for sure. So that's going to be it, guys. I am SkyXer83. Leave down in the comment section below who you think I should do next. Who should we do a video on next? And I mean, there's so many. If you guys watch the Combine, it's the defensive portion of, I mean, my God, the DBs, the defensive linemen, the linebackers, it's pretty crap and impressive. So, that's going to be it, guys. I am SkyXer83, and I'll see you guys in the next one.